The saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it's very true with Angel Reese's mom. Now, I don't like to go after people's parents unless they become a story of the sport. In this case, she's part of the story.
Angel Reese's mom just went off. And no, it wasn't over a foul call. After Caitlin Clark single-handedly shattered TV ratings like a backboard, Mama Reese launched a full court press on social media, and it was anything but a friendly handshake line. Is this sportsmanship or straight-up pettiness wrapped in glittery resentment? Buckle up. When your daughter's rival becomes the queen of the ratings, the claws come out. Let's break down this courtside drama like never before.
Oh my goodness! This news will probably leave Angel Reese's mom in shambles at this point. Of course, she's upset.
Angel Reese's mom was not having it. And by that, we mean she performed Olympic-level mental gymnastics trying to argue that her daughter was clearly the true ratings darling of the universe. This, despite TV numbers showing Caitlin Clark dunking all over the Nielsen charts like she was avenging every misspelled Starbucks cup. Reportedly donning a crown made of LSU merch and clutching a "my daughter is better than yours" tote bag, Mama Reese demanded to speak to whoever's in charge of televised sports, or possibly the entire galaxy.
So, Caitlin Clark, had almost 15,000 people in that arena, basically sold out at Carver. And she tweeted this. Oh, that certain fan base looking in the stands celebrating attendance, while others are looking up in the rafters celebrating championships, banners. We ain't the same. Different year, same haters. Have a great day. Well, aren't you the same hater of Caitlin Clark, living off her coattails? I find this highly unnecessary. It sounds like hateration to me. And this is what I mean by insecurities. Insecurity is loud, confidence is quiet.
Clearly, the only reason Angel Reese's preseason game didn't draw eyeballs, according to her mom, was due to some elaborate, multi-layered, Illuminati-adjacent conspiracy against Baton Rouge royalty. Meanwhile, the rest of America simply didn't tune in. They collectively blinked, shrugged, and said, "Wait, LSU's playing who again?" Before flipping back to watch Caitlin Clark make defenders reconsider their life choices in real time. It was like comparing a firecracker to the Super Bowl's grand finale. And Reese's mom? She stormed social media like she was leading a revolution, only to find the village had already left to go watch Clark drop threes from distances NASA should be measuring. Because, let's be honest.
She made a couple of comments a couple of days ago about people literally covering statistical data involving attendance. That's a problem. That's hate. We aren't the same. Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
If we're handing out participation trophies for hype, Angel Reese would have needed a second trophy case just for the preseason alone. ESPN could have aired her warm-up stretches on a Times Square jumbotron, and her mom still would have claimed Caitlin Clark somehow sabotaged the lighting. There's delusion. And then there's, how dare you not worship my daughter after she just airballed her fourth jumper in a row energy. Guess which one we're dealing with here?
Caitlin Clark say something about Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter? Right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, going, why is she at the Met Gala? It's really unnecessary and very petty of her, especially a grown-ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is. Because it's her mom.
Let's rewind to the preseason game in question. An event so underwhelming, even the popcorn vendors were nodding off between quarters. The only people watching were the players' families, a few loyal friends, and one extremely confused guy who thought he'd stumbled into a G League tryout. The energy was so flat, you could have balanced a water bottle on the court and kicked off a viral TikTok challenge. But don't tell that to Angel Reese's mom. To her, this wasn't just a game. It was the Super Bowl, the Oscars, and the Beyoncé Renaissance Tour rolled into one. And how dare America not treat it accordingly?
This was a pre-season WNBA game. Do you understand what I mean? A pre-season WNBA game. By the way, why the hell is the Paige Beckers and Angel Reese ratings from Ion Network Friday. Why are they MIA right now?
Welcome to Reese's World, a magical place where everyone claps when you fumble the ball and every missed layup is part of the plan. In this realm, there's no such thing as disappointing ratings, only misunderstood greatness. So when the viewership numbers rolled in, and it looked like a rerun of Antiques Roadshow pulled more eyes, Reese's mom strapped on her metaphorical cape and dove headfirst into PR mode. And by PR, we mean Instagram stories, cryptic tweets, and passive-aggressive gems like, "Real queens don't need ratings to prove their worth," which is adorable. If you ignore the fact that Caitlin Clark just set every broadcast on fire like she's auditioning for Game of Thrones. She's not just playing basketball, she's performing sorcery. The only thing missing is a wand and a sorting hat. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was busy redefining mid. But don't worry, her mom had theories. Oh, she had theories. It wasn't that people were watching Clark because she's exciting, skilled, and occasionally breaks the laws of physics. No, it had to be a setup. Maybe the cameras were blurry during Reese's game. Obviously.
This pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego. It stems from the mom, man. It was so unnecessary to dig. Like, okay, you're still living off of college. The national title is literally 2 years ago with LSU. We're going on year 3 in a couple of months. Why are you still living off that? How about you tell your daughter to work on her jump shot, stop missing layups? She missed a layup in the last preseason game on a fast break.
Maybe there was a hidden algorithm buried deep in the bowels of some streaming platform, tirelessly working 24/7 just to suppress the feed. Maybe Mercury was in retrograde, Venus was ghosting Mars, and LSU's uniforms weren't aligned with the chakra frequencies required to unlock national viewership. Perhaps the moon was in a passive-aggressive mood and decided to mess with the Wi-Fi signal. Clearly, something cosmically nefarious had to be at play, because it couldn't possibly be, people's viewing preferences. That's too logical, too boring, too painfully real. And let's just pause. No, really, let's pause to appreciate the pure, unfiltered comedy of someone launching into a full-blown Stage 5 meltdown over preseason numbers. Not the championship, not the playoffs. Preseason. That's like losing your mind because your garage band's first basement concert didn't outgross Taylor Swift's record-breaking stadium tour, or expecting your nephew's lemonade stand to outperform Starbucks because he used organic lemons. Bless your sweet, delusional heart, truly.
If you guys did not see, right here, the Fever Brazil game came to 1.3 million viewers. 1.3 million viewers to an exhibition game, not even a preseason game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. An exhibition game. They came to an exhibition game. Or say they came to watch an exhibition game. That was a 60-point game, and Caitlin Clark checked out at the end of the third quarter. And it averaged 1.3 million viewers, which is absolutely crazy.
But here's the kicker. Clark didn't just quietly win the ratings war. No, she incinerated the battlefield, dropped a mic on the smoldering ruins, painted her initials in the ashes like a medieval warlord armed with a Sharpie, and then casually turned the whole scene into a TikTok highlight reel. The narrative wasn't close. It wasn't even competitive. It was Clark's show and everyone else. Just unwilling extras trying to figure out why their camera time got cut? Want to try rewriting the script? You'll need more than astrology and conspiracy theories for that. There's something uniquely hilarious about watching someone cling to a story while the scoreboard spells out a completely different reality. Angel Reese's mom went from, "This is just the beginning," to, "This is a biased system orchestrated by Clark's PR team, ESPN, and possibly aliens," faster than a fast break. It wasn't denial, it was an art form.
Caitlin Clark say something about Angel Reese's mom or anything Angel Reese related? Absolutely not. Why don't you just mind your own business and continue playing basketball and support your daughter, right? That's what you're supposed to do as a mother. Support your daughter and hope she does well in this league, right? Because you don't hear Caitlin Clark going after her, going why she at the Met Gala. It's really unnecessary and very petty of her especially a grown-ass woman. But now I realize why Angel Reese the way she is. Because it's her mom. This pettiness, this insecurity, this bravado, this inflated ego. It stems from the mom, man.
And yet, even as the ratings rolled in like receipts after a shopping spree, she kept the faith. In fact, she doubled down. If you listened closely, you could almost hear the internal monologue. Who cares if nobody watched? Those who did witnessed. History, hi, Queenie. But unfortunately, the rest of us were too busy watching Clark pull up from the logo like she had a personal vendetta against nets everywhere. Meanwhile, over in the Reese camp, the buzz was muted, like a candle flickering, inside a mason jar. LSU's preseason was a masterclass in how to create all the hype in the world and then completely ghost the actual performance. Look, we get it. Preseason isn't supposed to be fireworks. But Clark turned hers into a 4th of July spectacular, while Reese's felt like a mandatory office fire drill. Necessary? Maybe. Exciting? Absolutely not. Of course, Reese herself isn't the problem. She's a solid player. But when the marketing machine behind her treats every dribble like a coronation and every glance like a TED Talk on empowerment, people start asking questions, especially when the scoreboard looks like it belongs in a student rec league.
Caitlin Clark is really back, and so is that CC motion. Look, I know I've said before I don't want to talk about repeats, and this topic isn't really brand new, but it feels fresh in a sense because we finally saw Caitlin Clark back out on the bat.
Not that the audience is rooting against Angel Reese. They're just not exactly lining up for another press release about how she's changing the game, while the game looks suspiciously unchanged. Then comes the inevitable comparison. Clark versus Reese. It's practically a cottage industry by now. But the gap isn't really a rivalry. It's more like a chasm that echoes. Caitlin Clark is selling out arenas, generating headlines, and quite literally altering broadcast schedules. Angel Reese? She's trending on Twitter because her mom is mad online. Let's put this in perspective. Caitlin Clark's preseason game felt like an Avengers movie premiere. Reese's preseason game? More like a neighborhood garage sale. One had anticipation, scale, and electricity. The other had folding chairs, forgotten snacks, and a general sense of, so, that's it. Still, Reese's mom wasn't going down quietly. If you opened your phone that day, odds are you saw a vaguely threatening inspirational quote posted over a blurry photo of Angel striking a power pose, something like, "Stars don't shine for approval, they just shine." A beautiful sentiment, if you ignore the fact that viewers were busy shining their remote controls toward another channel.
Indiana Fever just won what I thought was a pretty easy game against the Atlanta Dreamboat. I want to focus on Caitlin Clark because I think she's gotten 10 times better over the offseason. The number one thing I like about Caitlin Clark in these first 2 preseason games is that she's been very efficient. In the first game, she was 6 for 10. Second game, 5 for 11. She could have got some more shots up, but the shots she did get up, she made the majority of them.
And let's talk about those TV numbers again, shall we? Clark's ratings didn't just edge out Reese's, they steamrolled them. Clark didn't break the ceiling. She ripped it off and handed it to Angel Reese with a little note that said, "Maybe next time." Meanwhile, Reese's game viewership looked more like the attendance count at a middle school spelling bee on a Friday night. The irony? Clark doesn't need a hype machine. She plays, people watch. She drains impossible shots, and those highlights get posted. She doesn't need cryptic tweets from her aunt's cousin's dog trainer to justify her place in the game. But Reese? She's got a support system louder than a college marching band, demanding respect for, well, mostly just vibes at this point. You almost have to admire the commitment, not to basketball, but to spin. To seeing a flopped preseason broadcast and somehow crafting a full-blown persecution narrative out of it. That takes creativity, that takes imagination, that takes a mom who should probably run a conspiracy podcast titled, "Why My Daughter is Better Than Yours, and You're Just Jealous."